I am going to nestle in this coffin so fucking hard. You guys don't even know. I have a lot of notes today. By the way, hello sluts, my loyal fans. I get those two confused sometimes. I have a lot of notes today. A few corrections and stuff, whatnot. And there's gonna be so much to talk about once I hop into this coffin, so I get a couple out of the way. Giant skeletons do indeed drop, or use giant falchion models, at least. Although, of course, they do drop the Murakumo, so I don't really... It's kind of a minor distinction for me. The Murakumo itself, I wanted to kind of briefly mention this, since I didn't mention it last time. This isn't necessarily a historical weapon. It does seem to be named after the infamous, one of the three imperial regalias of Japan that they tend... I think they always bring them out whenever they crown a new emperor. But these days, I think they bring out supposedly quote-unquote wrapped-up versions of the weapons. In other words, they probably never existed in the first place, and they just bring out things that are wrapped up because, hey, they're, you know, these are the real things, please believe us. But they could be real, who knows. Yeah, it's kind of one of the ongoing problems with, Japanese imperialism. Anyways, it's a reference, I think, I'm guessing on this one, to the Kusanagi no Tsurugi. I got some of this information from Wikipedia. Thanks, Wikipedia. You're so useful. I knew some of this, though. But translated, the original name, it sort of the Gathering Clouds of Heaven. And Gathering Clouds is Murakumo. That's what that means. Gathering Clouds. By these days, though, it goes by a more popular name of Grass-Cutting Sword. I didn't know that, and that's kind of weird. Anyways, another thing I wanted to point out about it is that in the original legend, it came from a 8-headed serpent, which we're going to... I think I briefly showed the Hydra in one of the very first videos, but we're going to encounter that later. And specifically, it was gotten by finding it located within the tail of one of the fourth tail specifically. Get out here, mouse cursor. What are you doing over there? By getting it from the tail. So the whole thing about getting weapons by cutting off tails apparently is a thing over there. I have no idea. I'll talk more about you, Lucerne, later on. There's going to be some bitching in regards to that, too. You guys, one of the things I've realized about you guys are such pedants about things. So pedantic. It's the most minor of details, and you guys absolutely flip your shit, even if it's not even something that's contradictory to something I said. Just the chance to say something, to nitpick on something, you'll take it every time. I love it and I hate it. I love and hate you guys. Oh yeah. Alright, down inside the... Sure, why not? The woolly hole we go. Let's know something, coffin. You have to have eyes of death to be able to get inside this coffin, which is why they were over there. Let's go! And let's wait for about 30 seconds, because nothing happens until then. One thing I will point out, though, is the little face that we're about to see pop up in the screen very briefly is one of the giant skeletons. Maybe he's using a giant falchion, who knows? But I think in, like, the PS3 loading menu or something, Franz, the German spy, actually shows this a bit more in depth. But I think if you pause or something, or go to the shell screen on the PS3, it'll actually show the guy. Okay. And off we go. Sliding down who knows what. Probably down some poop. Who knows. And we emerge. Is someone else pulling this open, or we have to do it? No, I think someone else did. And then just left. Man, I look really purple today. By the way, I'm making the mistake once again of recording this deep into the night. I always make bad recordings during the deepest part of the night. Now, this is... Ooh, this looks kind of weird for some reason today. Maybe I'm on drugs. Maybe that's the problem. But this is the boss room much later on. Once we get through the Tomb of the Giants, this will be the boss room. So memorize it well, and I think this is actually... Yeah, I think this is the exact spot where you actually drop down into the boss room. Anyways. Okay. But I think actually... Much later on, once we beat Leroy, you can actually use this to get his armor without having to worry about Nito in the process. Although you eventually have to take care of Nito anyway, so what does it matter? Giant coffins everywhere. Kind of weird. Wonder what this one used to be. This one down here. I never really thought too much about it, but there's only two down here. One, it belongs to Nito, of course, who's up here wriggling around. Let's get my binoculars. Let's take a closer look at Nito as he wriggles around sexually inside of this coffin. And there's this one. I don't know. Maybe this one belonged to someone else of importance. Hint, hint? Hint, hint. Question mark indeed, because even I don't know. Alright. Let's take a gander around here. What we got here? We got ourselves an assemblage of skeletons that... What are they even doing? Are they just... I don't know, maybe they're like jerking off a million phantom ghost sticks up there. Who knows? But you can see his sword sticking out as well. I don't think you can actually damage him right here, so it doesn't really matter either way. But this is where you go in order to join... I won't be doing it here, because the Covenant system... One of the problems I have with the Covenant system, some people actually love this about the first game, is that in the first game, once you join a Covenant, you're kind of locked into it for the most part, and if you abandon it, then I think you lose half of all the shit that you've gotten, which is pretty damn detrimental. And some people like the idea that, you know, once you are committed to something, you're committed to it, which I also kind of do. But if you're looking to collect everything in the game, which I always am, then it becomes a huge-ass nuisance. Okay. But you offer Eyes of Death to Nito here, who continues wriggling sexually as fast as he can. Go! Go, man! Go! But you offer those to Nito, and that levels up the Covenant and whatnot. And you use Eyes of Death specifically, which I think I have a few of, around here somewhere. Eye of Death, online play autumn, lure phantoms from other worlds. Only Covenanter. Wow, I didn't say that right at all. Can use the item while hollows cannot. The dreadful Eyes of Death spread disaster across neighboring worlds. Phantoms lured to the host world may end up as victims, allowing the Eyes of Death to multiply, and leading to further proliferation of Bane. Amazing. Okay. Let's see. A couple things to point out about this. I know you guys love whenever I stand in place and talk. You don't care. You're not even paying attention to the screen. I could talk about anything. I could talk about my day, like a woman. Like a cliche... Okay, that was rude. That was rude. Okay, anyways. Eyes of Death, couple ways to get them. You can use Eyes of Death to create black phantoms in other people's worlds, but only in New Game Plus. That's one of the problems of this Covenant. This Covenant never really worked out the way that they wanted it to for various reasons. But one of the major ones is that whenever you use the damn things, you know, it doesn't affect anyone in regular New Game. You have to go to New Game Plus, and then you see the black phantoms. So it didn't really see much use until then. Plus, there were some other problems that were fixed in patch 1.05, I think. But that would cause black phantoms that are way stronger than normal enemies to appear in their world. And as you notice, there's no talk prompt for him. You can only enter the Covenant. Which kind of gives me the impression that he doesn't seem to give a shit. Like, he doesn't actually have any dialogue. Which I'll get more into in a second. But, that creates all sorts of nasty old black phantoms all over the place, and they can kick your ass real good. So in order to stop these black phantoms from just bumping your butt and whatnot, and what they do, you have to find the sign of the person that used the Eye of Death, and then invade their world and kill them. If they kill you, they get a whole shitload of Eyes of Death. And I think whenever they use it, it actually affects 3 different people, so they can end up being invaded by 3 separate people if they're unlucky. So some people will use the Eye of Death and then go hide in a corner, and some people will purposely stand in the most trafficked area that they can possibly find in order to encourage you to invade them. Kind of just differs from person to person. The problem with this is that you can't really see what's going on. You can summon the Black Phantoms, but you can't see anything, so you don't really get that sense of satisfaction like you would in DS2 when you're using the Rat Covenant. Okay, a couple of things I wanted to point out about this, though. It's probably easier to get Eyes of Death from just farming basilisks, so you can kind of just not even bother with. That was another problem. A couple things, basilisks, as we saw before, are in the depths, but they are also in the Great Hollow, and they are also in the Ash Lake, which we'll get to later on. And that seems to imply that they're very old creatures. But unfortunately, there's not much information other than that, so, you know, it's kind of disappointing. But it's sort of implied that the Eyes of Death that you're gathering are their giant eyes that, you know, aren't really their eyes, and that's the reason why that they're there. So that sort of implies that they're linked with Nito here, possibly. Maybe also that they are very ancient creatures that existed within the abyss before everything started emerging into the gray lands of the dragons. Or maybe not. Who can really say? Another thing I'll point out, though, is that basilisks curse things. They're one of the few... What else curses? I can't remember off the top of my head. But basilisks curse you. And I will point out that the only way that you can cure curses, or prevent them, are things, items, consumables, whatever, that are made from sacrifices, like human sacrifices. Does that seem kind of coincidental to you? That the only way to prevent curses created by the only enemies that drop items used by the Covenant of Death's leader are themselves preventable only by using items that are created by means of causing death in the first place. Kind of interesting, isn't it? Oh well. Anyways, they are used primarily... They're made by Velka, you know, like Kareem, you know, like the Ring of Sacrifice and things like that. And they're also linked to sometimes the Way of White. Way of the White. Like Leroy that we'll find, whose armor will be over there once we kill him. They also seem to be linked to them sometimes. Okay. Anyways, Nito himself, though. No talk option. So whether or not he is actually conscious, or sapient, or whatever you want to call it, I don't really know. We see him, you know, fucking things up in the opening cinema, but that's about it. Other than that, he doesn't really seem to give a shit about anything that's happening in the world. Now, whether or not he actually has any real interaction with people these days, I have no idea. And I think I can, I think I can get back out by just entering the coffin again. But they may have something to do with Pinwheel, as we might learn later on in this episode. I have no idea. I'm trying to rush as quickly as possible. Okay, that will take us right back out. Yay! What else do I have on my thing here? Ooh, my controller is vibrating so hard. I think I'll put it in my lap. Oh, yeah. I just want to point out as well that while I love all the arguing about historical weapons, because it actually teaches people, you know, it forces people to go research it. I wanted to point out that using farm weapons like tools, that's really stupid. You know, I don't want to use my hoe as a weapon, because I know good and well that it's going to be a piece of shit. Like if someone brought a... That's the reason why I showed off the great scythe and complained about it. Because it would be a piece of shit. Okay, this is going to be complicated. I need to figure out a way to... Let's see, I'm going to point this out. I need to kill the Necromancer down here. I need to go see Vamos, or Vamos, whatever his name is. I need to kill the Black Knight. But before I do that, it would probably be easier to kill the Necromancer. I need to get rid of this, by the way. So should I kill him, or should I go down first? I think I'll go down and see Vamos before I do any of that. And then use a homeward bone to return to a bonfire, since I need to restock anyways. I haven't done anything at all since I cut off last time. No, don't you roll over here, you naughty skeletons. I remember last time. Had enough of you naughty skeletons. Let's see, what else do I have to mention? There's a few other things, but they kind of require me to stop and change what I'm doing. By the way, I think... Notice this wall repairs it. No. Notice that wall repairs itself whenever you use a bonfire. Isn't that strange? Means absolutely nothing as far as I'm concerned, but it's still pretty interesting. Maybe it's bound. Maybe it's cursed to always repair... Hey, no. No, that was clever. I applaud you. But still, that's very annoying. Go away. Hey, snoo skeleton. Hey! I've had just about enough out of you two. Okay. And I guess I'll go ahead and burn off a few souls while I'm down here. By the way, you can see... Well, no, go away. You can see... maybe not right here. I'll just go ahead and level up. What do I want? No, I don't really care. Might as well just get a little bit more vitality. So these skeletons won't smack me in the dick quite as hard. Well, you notice, if you look through here, you can see... yeah. This is the same area where I dropped down and picked up that Soul of the Night. And over there, you can kind of maybe see, probably not at all. That's the switch area. And that leads back to the very start of the area. So you can actually see this bonfire by standing right there, and that message is probably saying just that. Okay, anyways. Let's see if we can go find Vamos and kill myself trying to roll down. It's been a long time since I've made that jump. But that jump is kind of infamously kind of shitty. Okay, let's see. What else do I have? Come over here, you piece of paper. You slutty piece of paper. There's a couple of questions I want to ask about that. Yeah. By the way, I'll briefly say about the Lucerne. The Lucerne, I know some people were bitching about this. I was trying to explain... Are these... Yeah, okay, I can kill these guys right now. But the Lucerne itself is not a Warhammer. I was trying to talk about Warhammers while using the Lucerne as an example. Just because it sort of is loosely based on similar concepts. But it's obviously not a Warhammer. And I had to use it because there's no Warhammers in the game. Just the shitty-ass war pick, I guess, and that's not really Warhammer at all. Hey! I was kicking, thank you very much. These guys are so fast. Sometimes you can perform an action and they'll get a... Like if they do that backstep maneuver, they'll get a hit in well before you can do anything to them. And this leads back out. Why did I even go down here? That was dumb of me. I didn't even have to come down here. That's what... I shouldn't be reading sheets of paper. Shouldn't be reading sheets of paper. Okay, this is where we actually want to go. Because that'll lead us down... Oh yeah, forgot about that. Are these the guys that are up top? I think that might be the first ones that we see. And they're just jumping all the way down. How talented of them. You guys are so talented. Good for you. Good for you. Okay, but I was using the Lucerne as an example. It's obviously not a Warhammer. The Lucerne itself actually was more of a dueling weapon. And not really a dueling weapon so much as... It's something that you wouldn't actually see on the battlefield. It's something that was usually more of a... Like I said, a dueling weapon. Sort of. Don't want to... Kind of semantics here, but... so it was made for that purpose. It's not something that you would really see in battle. Usually if you see a polearm in battle, it's probably going to be something like a halberd. Because usually things like that were made for the purposes of countering things like pikemen. But without, you know, this is really doesn't, if you think it has nothing to do with Dark Souls anyways, so really not going to get too much into it. But, hear that rolling? Where's that coming from? There's probably one down here that fell down, so I'm going to have to deal with that when I go down there. What else was I going to say about Warhammers? Just that I wanted to point out also that all the components of like a Warhammer and the Lucerne, they have many different uses, so don't get too hung up on anything that I was saying, especially whenever I was looking at like the timeline and thinking about 5 different things whenever I was talking last time. Don't be so fucking pedantic. Okay, but it was also, the beak was also used for tripping and pulling away shields. I just wanted to point that out because that's neat. And that Warhammers themselves were usually sidearms, and they were used by mounted cavalry a lot of the times for riding down people, because that's lots of fun. Now I'll point out, they have this little soul down here, but you notice if you look down here, this is a death trap. And it's been a long time since I've actually gone down here, so I can't quite remember where I'm supposed to roll. I think it's straightforward. And you're not supposed to roll, you're supposed to walk off. Although that might change because we're running at 60 frames per second. Once again, I probably should fix that, but I can't let go of it. But I just wanted to point out, don't go for that soul because that is death. Now I'll try to just kind of run and fall off here. Yes, that was the correct place. And it's a good thing I didn't walk off, because it looks like I would have died most terribly. Most terribly indeed. I'll roll off here. Gotta be very careful trying to go down to this fucking thing. Because, again, this place is just a death trap. And I'll go ahead and heal, because I'm gonna homeward bone back anyways. Kind of weird rendering issues down here. Now I'll point out, this is, again, one of these little weird sealed-off areas. Because, again, there's so many areas of the Catacombs that appear to have been constructed and then completely buried by earthquakes, or maybe intentionally, and forgotten. Hear that? Yeah. Working in the gold mines, going on down. Working with Vamos. Whoop. I'm about to slip now. Now look how weird this guy is. Look at him. Are you looking? Look at his face. Big weirdo. I love you. Yeah, smash that fucking wall.
Be gone with you. You'll spoil my focus.
He has a bizarre filter on his voice. Nothing else in the game is... Ah, damn it, I knew you'd be down here, you little naughty... Ooh. Always up to something, you skeletons. You crafty-ass skeletons. Okay, But there's nothing really down here. It's just more generic catacombs bullshit. But be careful about this, because there's wheel skeletons out there, and they want to wheel all over you. They're naughty. Oh, Lord, those chili fries. Why would I think that was a good idea? Oh, why do I always eat terrible things? I mean, forget it. Okay, but you notice all these smithing equipment down here. He's barely been at it for quite some time. And finally, one of them actually has things that heat shit up. Thank you! One of them finally gets it right. Battle axes and stuff down here. I would love to be able to criticize or, point out all the different kinds of weapons that he has down here, maybe link them to various things. But I really get the impression the developers just kind of just throw shit down here. Just to say, hey, he's a guy.
Why? An ember, do you? Forget about it. I don't deal with that kind. What has gone wrong with embers these days?
Now, I have an ember that he doesn't want. And I think it's actually the large one that I haven't actually given to what's-his-old Andre yet. Okay, there's gonna be lots of shit to talk about with him, though. Do you have anything for me? Do you have anything for me? No, he doesn't have anything for me. Now, he upgrades fire weapons and chaos weapons, which doesn't make a goddamn bit of sense, and I'm going to stand here and I'm going to talk about it all fucking day. But first, let's talk to you, get some crap out of you.
I'm here to smith, not to chit-chat.
Well, excuse me. How about some more? Come on.
I've told you, I'm here for the trade, not for the talk.
Now, he's obviously still pretty sane. Now, he's not undead, specifically. Hey, notice, if you haven't noticed, he's a skeleton. He's a big, chunky skeleton, too. Which is really strange. That's a weird spine you got there, buddy. But he's a big, chunky-ass skeleton. Big old booty. Maybe he was linked to the Snoo Giants. Maybe not.
Your presence, it disturbs me.
Ha! I kind of like him, though. I kind of like him. Now, you remember whenever we were looking at the Titanite that we got from last part, I suggested that we might meet the Blacksmith God. He might be the Blacksmith God. And that's just, I'm not saying that he is. By any, don't you guys run with this, okay? Because it is almost, probably more likely that he's not, but this is probably the closest that we're going to get to him maybe being one.
What was that about? Don't be coming around here without a good reason.
I'll go where I please, you filthy skank. Now, you notice he has weird, he has a skeletal beard. Really strange. Like, he used to be some sort of weird Cthulhu beast or something. Okay, I have a whole slew of notes written down about him, just because I knew that I would not be able to figure out absolutely everything about this. Okay, but a couple things to point out whenever you bring him the regular old flame ember. He will mention that it is from New Londo, which I might not get this normally. But the flame ember is from New Londo, which is really bizarre. And it implies that they were sort of kind of on the forefront of that sort of technology at the time. And that may have been one of the reasons why Lord Gwyn gave them gave the Four Kings the fragments of the Lord Soul that he had. Maybe because they were looking ahead and thinking about utilizing the fire of mankind in various ways. And whenever you give him the... Actually, I don't think he says anything too unique about the Chaos Flame that I can think of offhand. But the Chaos Flame itself is from Izalith. It was developed in Izalith. So two different things. Again, the flame is linked to... this is so fucking weird, because again, the flame, fire, is linked to the Witches of Izalith, not to Gwyn. That may not make sense to you, but it's, that's what they did. It was pyromancy. That's what they used to do. And, for some reason, we have a guy down in the Catacombs who obviously seems to be a servant of Nito, maybe? Or he's at least related to Nito, because he's still, sane. He's sentient, sapient, despite just being a skeleton. So maybe the blacksmith deity, maybe he used to be a god, and that's the reason why he looks the way that he does. And, he died and came down here to continue his work. Who knows? But, it could also just be as likely he's just a guy that's here. Why he has the weird beard tendrils, I don't know. It could be linked with the skull lantern that we found earlier, which suggested that it hung down from the beards of the necromancers. So maybe originally he was supposed to have a different design that was supposed to be linked with the necromancers and that changed. Maybe he's just supposed to be a reference to something. I have no idea. But I will read off. I'm getting kind of tired of that constant beating, by the way, so I'm going to walk away from him. Can't really get away from it, though. But I will point out a couple things. If you kill him, he drops two things. The Royal Helm and the Hammer of Vamos. Or Vamos. Helm of Vamos, I will read these off because I wrote them down because I wasn't sure if I was going to get them right away. I usually do stuff like this at the very end of the game. Skeleton Blacksmith, the Catacombs. Partially made of gold and confers high resistance overall. The helm is believed to belong to an ancient royal line, but only Vamos would know for sure, and he shall never speak again, because at this point you've killed him. So apparently it's implying that he is from some sort of royal line. That he used to be maybe like some sort of prince or a king or something. And Hammer of Vamos, Middle Hammer of Vamos, a skeleton blacksmith deep within the catacombs who rarely speaks. Can be used as a strike weapon to better left in the hands of its talented owner. And that's pretty much all the information that we have about this guy. He apparently is from some sort of royal bloodline, and he's down here and he does not give a shit about speaking. But it is implied that he is very ancient, because only people of very ancient ancestry can use things like the Fire Ember and the Chaos Ember. And that's about it. I also just wanted to point out how weird it is that the Fire and Chaos Embers, which are obviously linked to the Witch of Izalith, are down here in the Catacombs, which I kind of chalk that up just to, not to lore reasons, but probably just because, again, the upgrade system was kind of a mess, and they didn't even quite get it finished whenever they were developing all this. So that's all I have to say about that guy, I guess. If I go outside, I will be raped to death by wheel skeletons, so let's go back. Oh. I know some of you guys hate the playthrough because of all my rambling. I know some of you guys love it. But this is what it is. I kind of hate it and enjoy it at the same time, believe me. Kind of the same thing with you guys. Okay. Looking at my notes, souls versus souls. There's a question I want to say in a bit. But linked to, on the tail end of that, I wanted to mention, obviously I've been speculating quite a bit. And someone was criticizing the fact that I was criticizing Dark Souls 2 as being fanfiction. And saying, well, if you consider that fanfiction, then what about Snoo Snoo Skeleton? Then what about your own fanfiction whenever you're... Hello, are you going to come down? Whenever you are talking about all this shit. And, oh, he's going to actually walk. Huh, wonder why he jumps down if I'm running the opposite direction. What if he'll come down behind me? No? I don't know what's up with this guy. And what am I going to do next? Oh, jeez. Because it's kind of complicated. I always kind of do it in different ways. But I'll probably go kill the Necromancer first. I draw the distinction... Damn it, I hate... See that backstep? Oh, that backstep is the thing that always manages to get you. Because you can't really do much of anything about it. And he fell apart by attacking. They do that sometimes. These wacky, crazy skeletons. Oh, you guys are so crazy. But I draw the distinction between the fact that Dark Souls 2 obviously not written by the same guy. Gotta be careful right there. Oh, damn, they got all my stamina at the same time. Need to just try to get away from these guys. And I'll have to come back here anyways, because I need to jump off this crazy-ass thing. But Dark Souls 2 obviously not written by the same guys. So I don't really consider it to be an extension of anything Miyazaki did. So I have to look at Dark Souls 1 in its kind of its own context. Whenever you're trying to come up with answers about the lore and things like that, that's the easiest way to go about it. Because if you start incorporating things from Dark Souls 2, which they had their own motivations and whatnot, it gets really complicated. You gonna come up here? You can't really see anything. It's kind of an awkward place to fight these guys. Hate that move. So annoying. Okay. I wonder if he... Usually I kick these guys off of here for fun. But anyways, that's kind of my reasoning behind it. And I think I've done a pretty good job. Careful right here. I think I do a pretty good job usually of stipulating... Wonder if I can collapse one of these things without... No, usually that's how you do it. Oh well, maybe he can trigger it on his own. I don't think so, though. Yeah, they don't trigger it. Oh well. Usually I kind of just get these guys trapped There we go. Okay, that's what I want. Now I'll try to get them to come over here, because we don't have the Necromancer dead yet. I could just run past them, but this is kind of the safe way to do it. And this other one is good. You know, they're actually flanking me. Good beans on them. Good beans. Where'd the other one go? Did he already drop? Yeah, already dropped. Okay, anyways. But that's usually how you would kind of take care of them without... Oop! That was not good. That was foolish of me. I was trying to hit the A button, but I didn't quite make it. This other one's going to come down, so let's go ahead and rush over here. Okay, we'll take some damage, but that's okay. And he might be able... Okay, he didn't quite get in a hit. Oh, more of them. Let's get my stamina back. Oh, jeez, look at all these guys. Oh, oh, it is party time. And I'll take a few hits, but I'm trying to get out of the way of these arrows. Okay, we got one. Need to be careful as possible. Let's take a drink. Didn't quite make it. Oh, well. And there's going to be more ready to party whenever we're in here. Maybe I can... Where are they? Where'd they go? Huh, I thought there was way more. Don't you guys remember there being way more? Where'd they go? Maybe they're up top. Maybe they're up top. But if we go any further down here, there's going to be wheel skeletons galore just popping out all over the place. Anyways, I think I've done a pretty good job of making a distinction between things that I consider to be fact and things that I consider to be speculation. I always try to make absolutely certain that whenever I bring up anything that I consider to be a theory, then I mention that it's a theory. Whereas if I say anything, you know, that I consider to be fact, I usually try to point out where it is said to be fact. Okay, now this is going to be a problem whenever we jump down here, because we're going to have a Black Knight buddy just waiting to fill us with all sorts of good thoughts and feelings. And he's right there. Maybe I can backstep into it, and it'll give me a little bit of a delay. Hey, where is he? He must have fallen... Oh, there he is. No, that's a skeleton. Sometimes, a couple times I've gotten invisible skeletons down here. And this is pretty weird. I don't think I've ever quite had him go all the way down. And their AI is absolutely flipping out right now. And unfortunately, there's no way out of this area without going back through here. So we're going to have loads of fun, because all these wheel skeletons have noticed us. And he can't clip through and hit us, by the way. So this is going to be lots of fun trying to escape this area. And wheel skeletons in Dark Souls 1 are a whole different thing compared to Dark Souls 2. In Dark Souls 2, they're pretty manageable. In Dark Souls 1, they are a nightmare. And I'm thinking, just to be safe, I'm going to try to clear this guy out, for crap's sake. Clear this guy out beforehand. And they have a pretty damn good vision range. I might be able to get them to come over here. And then make a run for it all the way down. Come on, you two. You have to be extremely careful about these things. And just juke jive. Oh, there he is. Hello, friend. That was actually pretty funny, wasn't it? Hope you guys had a good chuckle over it. Because I know I did. Okay, but that's where he was. I found him. I found him, guys. Okay, what else do I have to go on about today? I think I've explained that as well as I'm going to explain it. Someone was asking what the differentiation between souls and souls was. That is the things that you pick up as items, and the kind of generic souls that you get whenever you're kind of just killing things. You're going to... Oh, there's my things down there, if you can see them. A little green blob down there. That's where we're headed. That's where we're headed. There's all sorts of explosions and shit always going on in the catacombs. Because it's a very vertical layout sort of area. So there's a lot of overlap in everything that's happening all the time. So it's very easy to have skeletons dropping down on you and shit that's popping off all over the place all the time. But the distinction I've kind of made, to me, it's just video games. Video games is the distinction between souls and souls. Of course, we have humanity, which is a kind of soul, and we have the, you know, the dark soul, the light soul, the death soul, the blah, blah, blah. There's those kinds of souls, and then there's these souls that you physically... God damn it. I really hate how they do that. They're such little bitches. And one of them died by trying to get to me too quickly. And they can chase you quite a ways, as you can see here. It's that stupid rolling bullshit. They cover distance. These are really dangerous enemies. Like that. Interrupted me out of a... Oh, for fuck's sake. Give me a second. You, go away, please. And you. Are you going to leave, or are you going to come over here and give me kisses? You're just going to roll all the way over here into my sword. Alright. I really want to get a different weapon. I'm tired of using this claymore. I think I've said this before, but if you haven't noticed, I'm the kind of person that loves changing his equipment all the time. Which is one of the reasons why I'm a bit of a collector. Anyways, I think it's just kind of video games, personally. And, the only real kind of distinction that There we go, okay, that's what I wanted. I was trying to remember how to do this, but you just tap B over and over again. Little rascals. Now, I don't know if the, Black Knight is going to be down there this time or not. And you can't really look exactly, I don't think. That should get both of them. Okay, alright. But did it... Yeah, there he is, okay. Just want to make sure. Hey, no! Oh, man. He saw me and he ran out. Oh, well. You have to go down and get him. But the distinction I make between Souls and Souls, just video games, I think, if I had to make something up, that once you are killed, your soul, whatever that happens to be, whether you are based on the Dark Soul, whether you're based on the Light Soul, or whatever, it dispels because your personality, your soul is being dispelled, and then it kind of just degenerates into generic power. These guys are kind of hard to parry sometimes. Gotta concentrate. Right in the penis! Low them penis shots. Boy. That was a bad decision to make. It's so hard to see, especially with these archers going off. But I'm trying to just... I'm looking for the beginning of his animation, and I just know when exactly his hit is going to land. Really? Just a white Titanite chunk? You lazy asshole. Okay, you guys are gonna get it. You guys are gonna get it. But that's what I kind of make up for myself, as far as my own lore goes. That whenever you kill someone, it dispels most of their power. Unless they were very powerful or renowned. In which case, it seems like they keep their soul. Like, the more powerful they are, the more likely it is that they retain it. Okay, these guys should see me, and they're probably going to wheel their way over here right now. The easiest way to deal with these guys is... damn it! See why they're so fucking dangerous? And I think I lost... Did I pick up my Bloodstain? Probably not. It doesn't matter. They're barely worth anything. But that's the reason why they're so dangerous. Is because they hit you so easily whenever they do that move. And whenever they do that move, you just can't be near them. You saw that I died... I don't care about that. You saw that I died because I was trying to attack him. And whenever I attacked him, my player model just got just close enough that it interacted with him and caused me to take damage. Oh, goodness. Go away, chili fries. Okay, let's just go ahead and run our ways down here. But that's the distinction I make between that. And I think that's all I have to say about it. But kind of keep a lookout for that. Anytime that you see any sort of named items or named souls, it's probably because the guy was incredibly famous or incredibly powerful. And these guys might get me in the backside. Damn it. I really despise the targeting in this game. Because sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does. If there's anything that's sort of colliding with it, it doesn't matter if you can physically see them. If it collides with them, then it tends to fuck up your targeting. Okay, go on. Get on down there. Eat my butt. Lick my taint and so on. It's extremely rude, but you guys are being rude yourselves. And I can't get away from you because I'm colliding with the wall. Come over here, sweeties. Now, you do kind of want to handle these guys. Come on. Because if they fall down there, there's a chance that they will follow you all the way back up. So please, this time, don't fall down there. Really? Oh, man, the camera combined with... Oh, this is not good. Not good at all. Now I've got to get them to come down here. There you are. Alright, come on, sweetie. There we go. Okay, that's what I wanted. Kind of a nuisance to backstab these guys. Alright. And number 2, if you will please politely come down here, or just wait until my back is turned so that you can attack me from behind. That will also be good. That will also be good. You know, I don't even know why I even came down here, because I need to fall off the top of this thing. So that was really fucking stupid of me. I guess just to show off that these skeletons are dicks. Let's go ahead and get myself killed by these will skeletons one last time. Then I have to go back up top anyways. Because I wasn't thinking, and I'll have to restore my humanity either way. Okay, come here, biddies. You notice that these guys can kind of... They also chase you. Like, once you dodge out of their way... Oh, there's so many things that are irritating about these guys. Their vision is huge. They auto-target you. Like, when they're rolling, they can actually turn and still hit you. And they keep doing this attack forever that if you get anywhere near, will hurt you. This huge dicks about everything. And you notice, even if I... Oh, this... Bad timing. Bad timing. That even... See, this is not going to go well at all. Oh, no. Don't jump. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, got that shit out of the way. But that's why you don't go down there. Usually, the easiest way to deal with them is to just pull out a bow and just shoot them from range. Okay, let's just go ahead and reverse our hauling. Oh, yeah. I forgot that we lost all that. I don't even care, though. I don't really... This is not like a hardcore run or anything. I don't really give a shit about this. But the more self-humanity that you have, the more that your stats will go up. I should have been paying more attention, though. Just because it would have been nice to see exactly how long I could keep that going. But then I would have had to concentrate all the time. Why am I not standing up? Why am I not standing up? Apparently I've encountered some sort of bug. Well, that's nice. And start isn't working. Nothing is responding. Amazing. Amazing. Start doesn't work. Y, X, A, B, yes. Push the camera works. Okay, apparently I found a bug. Alright, good for me. Well, I will see you guys in a second because I'm going to have to Alt F4 out of the game. And I am back, me. Thanks, me. This game is really not cooperating today. You know, the Catacombs I kind of consider to be kind of an easy area in some ways, but also spectacularly hard if you are not paying attention. Which I am not right now because I'm trying to do too many things at once and failing at both of them. Okay, there's going to be a couple things I need to bring up about the boss whenever we get to him. But for now, all we need to do is get past these 5 skeletons in total. Come on, really? You're going to do that to me right now? Don't you appreciate the heartache I've been through? Yes. God, they're so irritating. I hate the fucking catacombs. Go on. And target correctly, please. Alright, now, finally. Damn. It takes forever just to be able to get them aligned correctly and in an animation in which they're not attacking. Okay, and I'm trying to be extra careful because I don't want to have to use multiple humanities. And didn't see one. I didn't see one. But you can, Don't start. Don't hit me through the wall. Really? 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 Go on. You get out of here. Go on. And now we have another one. Here, you enjoy him. Yeah, you like that shit? I'm a genius for doing that. I am the god of combat. And apparently archers are also... The archer broke down the wall to shoot me with arrows. This is fantastic. And now we have this guy. Yes, come on, sweetie. Get it out of your system. Ah, I love the catacombs. I actually have a much... I say this now, but I usually have a much easier time with the Tomb of the Giants. Usually, whenever I'm playing, I'm going to have to show shit off, so that's going to kind of fuck me over. But usually in the Tomb of the Giants, I can actually just run through without even using a light source. But since I'm going to have to show you guys everything, that is going to turn into a nightmare, especially. And I know what you're going to do, so you just get out of your system. Go ahead and blow your load, you naughty head. Okay. Now you will notice shit down here. And you'll also notice a summon sign. And I might die from just dropping down here, but you know what? I just don't give a shit. So let's go. It wasn't bad. If it was Dark Souls 2, you would have died. But here we find a large soldier. And what else is down here? Are there 2 things or just 1? It's going to be the armor. And I think that's it. Okay. Alright. Let's go ahead and swig up. I'm going to go ahead and summon Paladin Leroy just to show him off. But this is actually going to make the boss fight more difficult. Because whenever you summon NPCs, or I think people in general, it causes the boss's health to go up. You need to be extra careful. Come on, sensitive controls, because they don't give you much room on the sledge to work with. Oh, really? Really? Oh, this fucking thing. I fucking swear. Look at this shit. And there are wheel skeletons down here just aching for the... Oh, okay, just barely made it. Barely fucking made it. All for this. Preset Holy Rope. Okay. And a mace. And a mace. Okay. But I need to get out of here before... There's nothing down here. Okay. Before those fucking wheel skeletons see me. Because they see me. By the way, these wheel skeletons are just a Berserk reference. You might be wondering what their lore significance is. There really isn't any. It's just one of the... FromSoft internally has a huge hard-on for Berserk. And you will often see things lifted straight from Berserk. Just because, you know, just because. And this is one of them. Wheel skeletons, one of those little things that were from an isolated pocket of the story. I don't think I've never actually read through Berserk, but I know they're from there. Weakness anywhere. Now, this is widely considered to be the easiest boss in the game, but you can still die from him, because difficulty is relative. The thing about this boss fight is that you have to rush him and kill him immediately. And if you don't do that, then the boss fight can become a bit of a problem. So I'm going to two-hand, and the fact that he's here is actually going to make this more of a problem. So I could actually die here, you know? It's just one of those things. I say that, usually whenever I say that, I end up having no problem, but who can say this time? And a thing I want to point out here, whenever you hear Pinwheel's music, which you probably won't have since I'll be talking, but supposedly you can hear 3 people talking, and people have tried to filter the music as best as they can. But supposedly there's a child saying, "Help me," a mother saying, "We will never die," and a father that says, "I'm sorry, I'm so, so sorry." Supposedly. Personally, it just sounds like people whispering to me. But I guess listen for that. Why do I even try? Why do I even try? But other than that, I guess that's all I wanted to mention before I jump in. I'll probably remember something as soon as I jump off, which will be now. Whee! Oh? Huh? Oh? Oh? No. You can hear them speaking to one another. Okay, let's go. Maybe I can finish him off quickly. Although I kind of doubt it. Yeah, see, normally... Ooh, jeez. See, this is why it can be a problem. Because if you give him too much health, then he can very easily kind of end up out-damaging you. Because this is sort of a mini Four Kings, and that it oh, jeez, wow, you just fucking annihilated him. Way to go, Leroy. Hello, wall. Isn't that weird that it does that? So, you see, we got the Rite of Kindling, 1 humanity, which I think that's just a gameplay thing, but I guess you could construe some things from this. 1 humanity and a homeward bone, which you could also construe things with. Okay. And he has also dropped, wonder which one it's going to be. It can be one of 3 masks, which is going to be... Aw, the Mask of the Mother. Actually, this one's great, because it might be the silliest in some ways. Let's put on the Mask of the Mother. Put on the Mask of the Mother. Okay, one of the 3 masks of the Pinwheel. Not Pinwheel as a name, but the Pinwheel. The necromancer who stole the power of the Gravelord and reigns over the Catacombs. This mask, belonging to the kindly mother, slightly raises health points. And each of the 3 masks has the same description except for the very last part, which is just a gameplay thing. Okay, let's put this on. And let's look silly. Oh, this is not the... Yeah, it's the Mask of the Child that I was thinking of. I don't know why I said this. I really wanted to quit my binoculars and perform that stupid look animation thing. Oh, well. Anyways, let's go ahead and take you off then. And I won't be going up here because shit. Shit. Okay, a lot to talk about here. Rite of Kindling, I need to talk about this. Is it here? I can never remember where they put all these damn things. It's probably a key, actually. And I probably just passed it. Rite of Kindling. Here we go. Okay. Oh, chili fries. No, I warned you 3 times. 3 strikes and you're out. Rite of Kindling. This secret rite allows bonfires to be bolstered further with kindling. No, go away. Go away. So that even more Estus can be collected. Kindling was a sacred rite passed down among clerics, but all undead can imitate the process. In the same manner that they restore their hollowing, that's weird. They restore their hollowing? You mean they banish their hollowing? I don't know. That's a weird way of saying it. They restore their hollowing with humanity. How peculiar that humans found little use for humanity until they turned undead. So if you're a human and you use humanity in any form, it doesn't do a goddamn thing. But whenever you're undead, it makes you restore back to being human. Because again, whenever you go hollow, you're just losing whatever your soul happens to be. Whether you're burning it off or whether you're afflicted with the undead curse. And you slowly revert back to whatever it is that your base soulless form is. And in the case of humans, gods, and witches, that is pygmies. Which is why the Fretted Pygmy was called such, because he still looked like an ordinary pygmy despite possessing a lord soul. Okay, the kind of general tale that is told in regards to Pinwheel that is sort of just generally accepted is that, and of course this may not necessarily be true, but it's one of those things where people say it so much that people kind of just accept it as being fact. And it's a good story, don't get me wrong, is that Pinwheel originally was the father. He was a father that either was cavorting around with the Gravelord's power, whatever that happens to be, and he fused himself with his family, his wife and his son, and his mother, because they were naughty. Now, either he did that, or he attempted to bring his child and his wife back to life, or something of that nature. And that caused them all to be fused together into Pinwheel, the necromancer. And, what do I want to mention with this? I wanted to point out that the Pinwheel design itself is just a reference to... I think it's some sort of Japanese costume that's usually worn in festivals. It's a bunch of people that are kind of under one cloak and they try to walk around and they wear their own masks or something like that. I don't know, Marcus over the Epic Name Bro channel will probably have more information about it than I will. Since he actually knows about stuff like that. But that's what the design is based off of. The idea, at least. So, supposedly this is someone that ran down here to the catacombs after... Okay, there's 2 things that could have happened here. Either what happened to him and his family, assuming that story is true, it was caused by the Rite of Kindling, which would sort of make sense because the Rite of Kindling is, if we look at it again, might as well... We already forgot what it was. The Rite of Kindling is a sacred rite passed down among clerics, but all in the guys. So whenever before I used humanity to restore myself to looking human, that's an imitation of this Rite of Kindling. And the Rite of Kindling doesn't do anything except for give you more, Estus flash charges. It increases the amount of Estus that congregates around a bonfire. So you could kind of construe that to mean that maybe he was attempting to, and by the way, I think you can upgrade it 3 times, and how many people were combined into 1? 3. So maybe, I don't know, that might be something, who knows. So maybe he used this improperly, and it caused their existing humanity within each of them to congregate into one person, into one humanity? Maybe. Or the Rite of Kindling itself is something that was developed by either Lord Gwyn, or the Way of White, or the Church of Thurland anyways. And it was passed down among clerics, as we can see here. And it's something that he just so happened to have because maybe someone was buried with it, or maybe he took it. Who knows? But it does seem weird that if the Rite of Kindling is the thing that... and in the Mask of mother's mess. Come on, where are you? Where are you? I'll just do it this way. Let's get the mother. One of the three the necromancer who stole the power of the Gravelord. So what was the power of the Gravelord that he stole? It could have either been the kindling, which seems very bizarre, because why would Nito have invented the rite of kindling? Which is, I mean, I guess that he may have, I don't know. But it's bizarre. To me, I don't really accept that the rite of kindling is something that Nito developed or was in his possession. I think that maybe Pinwheel had come across the rite of kindling and he was trying to use it as a solution to his problem. But he seems to have also stolen, possibly, another power from the Gravelord himself, which may be one of the reasons why Nito himself does not want to bother with anything. He just sits in his giant coffin, fondling himself or whatnot, and maybe the smaller coffin belonged to Pinwheel. Who knows? Or maybe the smaller coffin belonged to the member of the royal line, Vamos. Maybe it belonged to him. There's so many different things that you can interpret from this. But I will point out lastly, before we can discontinue this episode, books everywhere. Books everywhere. And so he was obviously sort of like Seath, doing a lot of research. Going back over everything he could possibly get a hold of. And all the corpses that were being thrown down here seem to eventually find their way here. And you'll notice all these little different kinds of blades and things. And I think there's nothing down here. Like this thing over here as well. These are all tools that are used for sort of raking flesh. Except for that. I'm not quite sure what that is. That might be a butcher's tool used for picking up meat off the ground or something. I can't quite remember. I used to actually haul entrails and pig heads and cow heads from a butcher shop, but I never really went inside. I just witnessed the execution of animals and then hauled their dismembered corpses away. And that's all I did. A rich, full life I've lived. Rich, full life. But that's all going on inside of here. So obviously, people's bodies were being delivered here, and he would reave all of their flesh off. For some reason, whatever his actual process was, in his own experiments. So whether he was the head of all the necromancers here or not was not clear. Whether he was just kind of one of them and ended up becoming what he is now is also not clear. You can kind of just make up your own tale about that. I have my own internal thing, but that's not canon, it's just me. A lot of different questions that we can construe from the Catacombs. So the Catacombs, kind of a bitch-ass place. They kind of fucked me over because I wasn't paying quite enough attention because I can't. But still, a lot of interesting things going on down here. But I've always kind of been disappointed with Nito because I've always really liked the death element to any sort of lore. Like, I've always been drawn more towards that. Anytime that there's a kind of Lord of Death, I've always liked that most of all. But there's really not much going for Nito. It's just the Witches of Islith and Gwyn. Those are the stars of the show. Nito he's there. You know, he's just there. And ever so often you'll see something regarding him, but that's about it. And of course we kind of, I guess, represent the Dark Soul. But that's it. Is there anything else to talk about in the Catacombs? Probably not. Just that all the candles are lit, and there's skulls all over the place, and they're tiny little skulls. Actually, they're not tiny, they're kind of my size. But in regards to most of the things that we see here, they're tiny. And I think these guys are actually a little bit bigger than me, although I can't quite tell from the scale. But you notice the way that these... Oh, come on, camera, come on, stop fucking... The way that these things are hung up, he has plunged these little meat cleaver things into the walls, and they're hanging up by these ropes. And usually you will do that to let blood drain, or to let whatever, you know, if you're allowing maggots to eat away at them, eat their flesh off and whatnot. But there doesn't seem to be any actual corpses here, I'll point out. Just skeletons. So obviously he has run out of things to experiment on. So maybe that's the reason why he attacked us. Because he needed flesh to continue his experiments. Who can say? But this ladder leads to the Tomb of the Giants, which I won't be going down. I will reappear magically someplace else in the next part. And I will point out one last thing. We are in a gigantic coffin. If you have not put two and two together before now, this is the top of the coffin, which has been lifted off somehow. And why exactly these coffins exist, who built them, what used to house them, or maybe they're just honestly, it's probably just the developers going, it'll be cool if we put giant coffins down in the bar. That would be excellent. And that's probably what they did. But if you make up your own lore reasons, who knows? And of course, this does lead to the Tomb of the Giants, so maybe this used to store giants. But I don't think giants... Actually, like, Hawkeye Go might fit in like halfway in this whole thing. So maybe it did used to hold giants. Who knows? Or it was built for giants and they were never delivered down here. But whether the skeletons that we'll meet in the Tomb of the Giants are actually giants or not, I don't know. Maybe they're just gigantic humans. Who knows? More speculation to be had about that. But, by the way, you guys suggest in the comments where you want me to go next. I kind of have a rough idea where I want to go yet. I don't like rushing to ring both bells, so that's the reason why I kind of been dicking around. We can go to Dark Root, we can go to, Valley of the Drakes again, for some reason, I guess. I'm not going to name them all off, but all the places that we have not been yet, go ahead and suggest if you want to. But I might just end up ignoring them completely. Who can tell? I never know, because I'm halfway insane. Anyways, I will see you guys next time. I hope you enjoyed me dying terribly and losing like 22 soft humanity or whatever it was. Who cares? It doesn't really matter. Anyways, I will see you guys next time. So long, you naughty sluts. Okay, hello again. I just got done recording about probably an hour ago now. Thanks to someone. And,
I said I was sorry.
More than... Well, too fucking bad. I'm calling you out on this one. But no more than 20 seconds after I got done recording, German Spy responded to a question that I had specifically asked about kindling and Pinwheel, and whether it was the stolen power of Nito or not, and so on. Like I said in the commentary, I don't really believe that, but to my surprise, it apparently was never really in question. But first, before that, I need to read off something about the effigy shield that's in my tab somewhere. Here it is, effigy shield. We haven't gotten it just yet, but it pertains to this, so I wanted to mention it. Frightful occult shield, defends against divine weapons and lightning, not important. In an ill-fated plot to destroy the very gods, the followers of the occult once attempted to steal the power of Gravelord Nito, the first of the dead. So that's obviously pertaining to whatever we discussed that I can't remember right now, and I'll talk more about it later, but I must resist the urge. Okay, now, Franz, why does Pinwheel have the right of kindling? Tell me all about it.
Alright, so we're probably going to need to link another video in the description of this one, but there is some cut dialogue that Petrus had that was extracted quite a while ago, and this has been up for, well, quite a while. I don't remember. The point is, Petrus was originally supposed to be rescued from Pinwheel. The gist of his cut dialogue is that Pinwheel was about to sacrifice him for science, or I think technically for necromancy, but same thing. And you were supposed to rescue Petrus from Pinwheel and obtain the right of kindling at that point, or possibly when you got back to Fireling's Shrine. There isn't any real indication of exactly where it was going to originally have been given to you, but Petrus says, his dialogue after you rescue him says, "Oh, I'll give you your reward when we get back to Fireling's Shrine. The gods frown upon haste." So either rescuing Petrus was going to get you the right of kindling after the fight with Pinwheel, or he was going to give it to you after returning to Fireling's Shrine. The point is, and I think, Eli, you had, this was part of your original question to me, the right of kindling, what is its association with clerics, and does it come from Thorland? And that was the question to which I responded, well...
It seems to be the implication, yes.
Yeah, and they never outright tell you in the game where the right of kindling originated, but they do tell you that it was originally used by clerics, and that undead are able to imitate the process by shoving their humanity into a bonfire, basically. So,
in other places, yes.
Well, in other places, too. They undead love shoving their humanity places, I guess, but...
Oh, don't I know it, don't I know it.
Yeah, everybody, Plague was kind enough to offer to tell me facts about barbed duck penises if I came on his channel.
Okay, hold on. That's another video.
So...
And we can't go down that road just yet.
No, So, basically, Petrus being a cleric, he has a direct tie to the right of kindling, and its description seems to be implying that he knows how to use it already. Obviously, when they changed your encounter with Petrus and your interactions with him to first meeting him in Fireling's Shrine and never encountering him in the Catacombs, they had to rearrange that event so that you got the right of kindling in some other way. So, as it stands now, you're just given it after the fight with Pinwheel. But originally, it had a little bit closer a connection to Petrus and to the clerics. It's fairly ambiguous in the game now that Petrus just tells you, "Oh, we're here to go down to the catacombs and look for kindling," because it would have made a little bit more sense the original way that you encountered him already down there looking for kindling, and instead he got captured by Pinwheel and was about to be dissected and have his genitalia sacrificed to Cthulhu.
Oh, goodness. That's an excellent impersonation of Petrus, by the way. Really appreciate that.
Oh, thanks.
So Petrus was going to be originally the damsel in distress that you had to go down and rescue in his fairly little pink dress. And the general gist of it seems to be that FromSoft, or Miyazaki, whoever exactly was in charge, wanted specifically the player to be able to get it at that point in the game. That it's something that you could easily get from the outgo, or, you know, later on, even past Enter Orlando or whatever. So they wanted to make sure that it remained there. As far as plot goes, you can kind of make up whatever you want to as far as why it was in the first place. We see a lot of other things in the Catacombs, like I pointed out in the prior part, the Seance Ring from, you know, Enter Orlando, and also the one of the Outland miracles. So there's obviously a lot of stuff stored down there. So you can construe that as meaning that it was just down there, and he just so happened to find it because someone was buried with it, perhaps. Or maybe it was something that he actually had stolen. Who knows what actually was originally intended. But there's a couple of other things that we need to also discuss, because both of us have the tendency of, whenever we actually start talking to another, as you probably can see from the timestamp, if I'm recording this appropriately.
We swore this was going to be 30 seconds, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We swore it, and then we disavowed that oath immediately. But there's a couple other things I wanted to bring up. One is Pinwheel's servants. What the hell are Pinwheel's servants? Because I didn't mention this, but once we get to the Tomb of the Giants later, I will bring it up now. We see more of the guys that look just like Pinwheel. And officially, I think they're just called Pinwheel's servants, I'm pretty sure. And there's not really a distinction between them and Pinwheel.
Well, this brings us to the description of the effigy shield and also the family masks. Pinwheel himself, and actually, the dialogue from Petrus sheds some light on this as well, the cut dialogue. And again, Eli, it might be a good idea for you to link the video with that cut dialogue in the description of this one.
I will. And I'll also link the video of the dog eating peanut butter, because it's hilarious.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that, too.
We'll get to it in a second.
Yeah. The idea is, Petrus originally, and this is a kind of paraphrased quote because I don't remember his exact words, but he says, "I'm about to be sacrificed for the sake of necromancy. Please help me." So, considering you were going to rescue him from Pinwheel, he seems to be implying that Pinwheel itself is a necromancer. By process of inference, we can kind of get the sense that probably the Pinwheel variants outside of Gravelord Nito's boss room are also necromancers. And when we read the description of the effigy shield that mentions the servants of... what was it, Eli? The servants of dark, or...
The servants of the occult, or the followers
of the occult, thank you. I forget the exact words. But that they were trying to steal the power of Gravelord Nito. And what better place to do it than right outside his boss room? Or...
Yeah, that is a weird thing. It's almost like they were congregating to... Of course, also the little tiny skeleton babies are also there, which is another little thing, which kind of almost implies that there's some sort of sacrificial thing also going on in there at the same time, perhaps, or perhaps not.
Well,
a lot of things that can be construed.
Did you notice also, Eli, that the skeletons outside of Nito's boss room are all in a bowed down position, all of them facing the door to Nito's boss room? Mm-hmm. So... that might have been some form of sacrifice or just some form of worship. Those might be the skeletons of Gravelord's servants. They might be skeletons of somebody else. Who knows? But whatever their meaning, there is a lot going on right outside the entrance to Gravelord Nito's boss room.
Quite a lot. It's very unusual because, of course, the skeletons aren't moving. You would think that servants of Nito would be up and about because that's kind of what Nito does.
Right.
But all of the ones that are there are completely frozen, whereas they're having lots of adventures elsewhere. And something I mentioned in the commentary that you wouldn't know, obviously.
Lots of adventures.
Is,
I'm sorry. You put the most hilarious image in my head of skeleton adventures.
Well, it is. That's what everyone should be watching.
When you create your character, you just get a
adventure.
model of a skeleton and you play through the game that way.
Well, put a little gold cape on him and he goes on adventures. That's the best part of Saturday mornings. Get your kicks and your milk and just watch Skeleton Adventures.
You heard it here first, everybody. Skeleton Adventures, airing at 10 p.m. Central, 11 Eastern, Saturday mornings.
Now on the Fox block. Kids or whatever the fuck they used to have.
I'm sorry, I totally derailed that. What were you going to say?
You totally sandbagged that. I have no idea what the hell I was even talking about now. Something about Pinwheel and... I mentioned in the commentary the idea that Nito doesn't seem to really do much of anything these days. He just sits in his little coffin, and his many hands are jerking off many phantom dicks or whatever it is that he's doing in there.
He's kind of a deadbeat dad. He's got a TV on the opposite wall of his tomb. He's like, nah, I just want to watch Skeleton Adventures at Saturday morning cartoons.
Have you ever noticed the other coffin that's next to him?
The smaller
one?
one?
Never really paid... Yeah, I never really paid much attention to it. Do you have any ideas on that, by the way?
Well... The area is called the Tomb of the Giants. It might originally have been a coffin for a giant, because there are other coffins for giants in that area, and Petrus specifically says that Rhea slipped off the giant's coffin. And the hole that she's in she could only have landed there if she fell off that gigantic coffin at the very beginning of the tomb. So, presumably all of them were coffins for giants, and Nito just said, hey, this one fits, I think I'll go in and take a 1,000-year nap.
Yeah, but anyways, the point being, he doesn't do jack shit. He just sits there. And one of the things I kind of speculated on is maybe the power that they took for him maybe is related to that. Although, of course, again, that is speculation. Again, people, sometimes I say things that I may not necessarily even believe, but it's there for you to take and wipe your ass with if you want.
Well, there is an item, and I forget which item it is. It might be the Gravelord Greatsword, and it might be... It might actually be the...
I think it is, because...
Well, it's either that or it's the Lord's Soul that you get from Nito himself. I forget which item it is. But one of those items does say that he quietly oversees death from the Tomb of the Giants. So pretty much he's, I guess, just standing there watching people die? I'm not sure.
It is... I am almost positive, I'll search it up here, but I'm almost positive it's his soul, and it says something about he administers the dead.
Yeah.
Or he ministers all manner of dead. Like implying that he oversees the dead even that have nothing to do with humanity.
So he's basically a forum mod on the skeleton version of Reddit then.
Oh, don't say that. Don't lump Nito in with Reddit.
I'm sorry.
Nito's my favorite one. They never even do anything with him. Bless his soul. Bless his soul of death. He doesn't even have any dialogue. Like, the most he ever does in the entire universe is he slings his arms up and farts and dragon stuff.
Dialogue?
And that's all
the guy
he does.
has no vocal cords, Eli. What's he supposed to say?
Well, I don't know. Maybe he's supposed to rattle his bones at you. He's got a million of them. He takes all of his corpses and, does strikes them like a wind chime. And that's how he talks. I don't know. What do you want from me?
You are really good at putting these bizarre images. I now have this image of him playing his ribcage like a xylophone, which would suit him perfectly, I think.
Well, you can only see that on Skeleton Adventures. Every Saturday morning, tune in. Okay, anyway.
You have to animate that now.
No, I don't have to animate anything. Everyone wants me to animate everything.
Yeah, I
guess.
Enough.
That's enough out of you. Okay, one last thing, though. The pinwheel design itself I need to talk about.
Yeah.
Because I did mention this, but you could probably elaborate a bit more on it than I could. I mentioned Marcus probably has more information on it, but you know exactly what it is. Take it away.
Well, Marcus was the first person that I know of who discussed it, but I have a feeling probably most of the Japanese people who played this game recognized it immediately. There is a festival, not really so much festival, it's more of like people play it at get-togethers and office parties and on Christmas for some bizarre reason, and just generally on festive occasions. It's called Ni Nin Baori, which basically means two people under a cape. And it's a Japanese game wherein you have two people under a cape, as the name implies. Surprise, surprise. And one of them is completely...
A German Shepherd?
Well, in the video that we're probably going to link to demonstrate it, yes.
Maybe I'll show that right now.
But then it would be one person and a dog under a cape, so then it would be...
That's what Pinwheel should have been. He should have been like 3 German Shepherds.
Right, the family
all wearing those masks.
The family masks should have been a poodle, a schnauzer, and a dachshund.
Yes, all eating peanut butter.
Right. So...
Okay, proceed.
The idea is... one of the people under the cape has his head covered, or her head covered, and cannot see. And that person's arms are poking out. And the other person has only their head exposed. So that the person whose arms are poking out but cannot see has to use chopsticks to pick up food off of a plate and feed the person whose head is exposed. And that's why when you look at Pinwheel, it looks like a bunch of people wearing a robe, and those 6 arms with spikes sticking out are supposed to be hands with chopsticks, or that's what they resemble.
It's one of those things that sometimes... And FromSoft has a tendency to do this. Of course, I've mentioned in the commentary, I told you that sometimes they pull things from, like, Berserk, for example, that don't really have anything to do with anything. They're just there because, hey, we fucking love anime, or,
Right.
the manga or whatever. And sometimes they make, like, these cultural references that no one else is going to get. And you have to wonder, why are they making them? Is it because it actually means something, or is it just because?
Well, the perfect example of that is Pinwheel, because in the Japanese version of the game, Pinwheel's name, as displayed along with its life bar, was Ninin Baori. So they were fairly upfront about that joke in Japanese, but it was changed to Pinwheel in English, because who the hell outside of Japan is going to get that joke, other than people who used to live in Japan?
I guess the implication still remains the same either way, no matter what the culture is, though. The idea that there's something weird going on under the cape, and it's probably a combination of people.
Right.
Which may, again, I mentioned that story to you, how often have you heard that? The idea that it was a family that was fused together, or maybe it was a father that did something unspeakable.
This is actually the first time I've heard that. No, is
Really?
this one of the community theories?
Yeah, it's something that you kind of commonly hear anytime that Pinwheel comes up. I'm surprised you've never actually heard of that before.
Well, I probably don't spend enough time in the circles where those sorts of things are perpetuated. My approach to the game's lore is that I go only by evidence that is traceable to an in-game source.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh,
then.
no, I'm just...
You're Mr. Fact. Sorry, Mr. Side.
I'm just saying that's my own approach. Theories and fan fiction make my head hurt. I think I just don't have the mind for that. So I tend to stick to what's concrete and what can be corroborated. But that's just me.
You must despise my channel.
Oh, no,
I
are you
believe
kidding?
there must be a nightmare.
God, no, I can't get enough of your channel. Why else would I be here?
No, of
Doing
course
this,
not.
having this conversation.
But one of the things I kind of didn't like the idea about, I mentioned the Pinwheel servants just because of this and brought this up, is the idea that it kind of, to me, it takes away a little bit of something whenever Pinwheel himself is not unique. Like, you just come across more of them, and it's like, oh, it's just a thing that they do, apparently.
Yeah.
And this is another interpretation that you can work with, is the idea that those are just extensions of him, that if it's some sort of experiment in immortality, and that's the reason why they took something from Nito, because they're trying to circumvent the laws of death or something like that.
Yeah.
If it's something similar to that, then maybe those things that are appearing there are just bound figures that are linked to the dead children or whatever the sacrifices were. And so he's permanently bound and effectively immortal by being completely chained to that place for all time or something. So that's another interpretation that you can maybe pull out of your butt and floss your teeth with.
Right. Well, herein lies the problem, and this is something that comes up quite often in our conversations about these subjects, where when I think probably the best example of this is when you asked me about the zombie dragon in the Valley of Drakes, and that appears in various other places as well, like the Painted World. Well,
how it can be a zombie.
Right, they make a huge point about dragons have scales of immortality, so they can't be undead, so why is there an undead dragon that completely undermines and subverts that well-established principle which is laid out in the CG opening before the game even starts? And
whether dragons even have souls in the first place, because how can you have a soul whenever there's no consequence of death? But at the same time, how can you kill something that can't die and it's never been alive in the first place because it's effectively neutral, because it's in the Grey Lands.
Right, and typically the conclusion that we invariably end up reaching over the course of those types of discussions is...
FromSoft just doesn't care.
Basically because game design, that's why. And from a game design point of view, when I look at the Pinwheel fight, especially if you bring Paladin Leroy into that fight with you, Pinwheel is dead before you even get a good look at it.
I did. I brought him in, and I was mentioning how the fight can actually be more difficult because you brought in an NPC, and it raises his health. And the thing that makes that fight so easy, supposedly, is that you can almost one-shot him before he even gets to do anything.
You can.
So I was sitting there. I was whacking away at that thing, and he had like half health. And then Leroy finally shows up, waddles over, and just one-shots him from half health. It's like, oh, well, okay. Thanks, Leroy.
Yeah. That's just it. Is Pinwheel, first of all, has really low health to begin with, but Leroy, even the version of him that you summon as an NPC, is so stupidly overpowered that the Pinwheel fight is just a non-event if you bring him in. And so I think maybe part of... And here, I'm purely throwing out a potential idea regarding game design over plot, but maybe they just pasted a bunch more pinwheels in front of the Nito boss room because...
Probably, yeah.
Maybe you didn't...
They needed something.
Yeah. Well, we want to make sure everybody got a good look at this enemy. We spent so much time designing, and maybe they just raffle-stomped him when they did the boss fight and didn't even really pay it much mind.
It's either that or more giant skeletons that try to kick you off of ledges.
Oh, I hate those guys so much. or a giant coffin full of like 9 or 10 of them if you want that divine ember.
Yeah, they sure love those fucking things. Another thing I thought about whenever we were talking, the Black Knights. Why the hell would Black Knights be down in the catacombs?
Well,
just because?
Just because. Do you know the story originally behind the Black Knights, how they were originally supposed to be implemented?
Just go ahead and say it, because we're going to be here all day.
Yeah,
this
is
already
well. You're going to have to record some footage to play for this.
No! I refuse.
Okay.
Well,
well, you can just leave it a blank screen. I'm sure everybody will just be happy that we threw in a podcast at the end of this video.
They don't watch my videos. They just leave it going in the background. You're not even... Listeners, you are in another tab right now. You're not even watching the fucking thing.
Right.
And actually, even if I have hilarious footage going on in the background, like maybe at this moment I'm just kicking Crestfallen all around Firelink Shrine, not doing any damage, just kicking him for the hell of it or something.
Guys, close the tabs with your porn and come back and watch whatever footage Eli decides to put over this.
This should be your porn.
But no, the Black Knights...
I help you edge.
Right, well, thanks for that.
No problem.
So, the Black Knights originally, and this comes from at least one interview with Miyazaki, and it might even have been the interview in the art book, but I don't remember exactly which one it was. He originally was planning on having the Black Knights continually appear throughout the world and appear at unexpected locations at unexpected times. And I don't remember exactly what the reason was that it didn't turn out to be possible or practical for them to do that. But originally, it was supposed to be more along the lines of, you were minding your own business, doing your thing, and then a Black Knight shows up out of nowhere and starts stomping you into the ground. And
well, it wasn't so much it was supposed to be randomized placement so much as they were supposed to wander from place to place, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, but the idea was that you were supposed to not have a totally good idea of where you were going to run into them or when. And so...
and the lore for them states that the reason why you see them in places is just because they wander around.
Well, that's exactly it. That description of their equipment is a vestige of the original plan for their implementation as an enemy, yes, for their placement. So, for whatever reason, and again, I'm not sure what reason this was, but they ended up just having the Black Knights be single spawns in fixed locations other than the ones in the Kiln of the First Flame, which are fixed locations still, but they respawn if you should want to farm their weapons. Or chunks.
And that's it. That's kind of the general gist of anything that you need to explain in Dark Souls. Is that if it's something that doesn't make any sense, Either it's a great mystery that you just can't understand, and you need all sorts of different item descriptions to piece together some massive puzzle, or they just felt like doing something, or it was something that at one point made sense and no longer makes any sense because they recorded the audio too quickly, or so on. And that's the reason why I wanted to bring you on to discuss Petrus, because so many of things seem to revolve around him and his cut dialogue.
Quite a few things do, and I think people probably will be really interested to, provided they're not watching this 5 years after we've recorded it, and the channel that uploaded that cut dialogue has been banned or something, and they're just clicking a dead link.
Why does that come up with you so much? Every single video you're linking to something that's probably going to be dead.
Well, because typically when I say that, I'm linking an episode of something that was an NHK broadcast that has a legitimately high chance of being taken down. Yeah, Japanology, or one of their other series, or something else that belongs to a major broadcasting network and that has a really high tendency of getting slapped with DMCA suits.
Well, that's the nature of things on YouTube.
Yeah.
In my last video, which is actually it hasn't aired just yet, it will have by the time that we do this, but it's already up for people on Patreon. I just blatantly just put in 2 live crew like halfway through. It's like fuck it, fuck you, YouTube. I make money off of this through Patreon, so it doesn't really matter whether you have flagged it as content that doesn't belong to me or not.
Well, if you demonetize it, I don't think I don't think
nothing on my channel is monetized anymore.
Oh, okay.
Not a single thing.
Excellent. Good
You're
for
here
you,
to first
man.
listen to this, fans. Good job.
You beat the tube troll, finally.
I did. I beat him quite a long time ago, thanks to everyone else. That's for damn sure. Little fucker.
Right.
He's dead. He's on the Skeleton Adventures now as one of the skeletons.
You do realize the more we keep mentioning that, the more people are going to want you to animate it.
Yeah, I know. I do it to myself. Anyways, proceed. Japanology, or whatever the hell you were talking about.
Well, that was it. I don't think there's any need for us to bring up NHK series on this channel, because that's a whole other subject of discussion we could spend more time on. But you probably this is gonna be probably the longest video in this entire series, because we're at what, half an hour, 45 minutes now, that you're gonna have to tack on to the end of what you already recorded.
Yeah, and that was like an hour and 15 minutes on its own. So this is gonna be nice. This is gonna be nice. This is gonna be real nice, real fucking nice.
You've got something you can divide up anyway, maybe 2 episodes or something, who knows.
I'm not going to do that. I'll just spend the next 5 days uploading it like I always do. Who cares?
Oh, man.
Okay. But anyways, that's the gist of everything that I wanted to mention. I wanted to bring that up to point out just how fucked up Dark Souls can be sometimes. And I also wanted to bring up those few stories. Let's see. Thanks, Franz, for coming out.
Oh, it's always a pleasure.
Talking with me about Skeleton Adventures and edging to orgasms and whatnot.
Thank you for tolerating my presence. I only hope that your viewers were able to do the same.
Indeed. Now, do you have anything that you'd like to plug before I throw you out the door or skit you out with a broom?
Yeah, there's this really great channel for animations called Plague of Gripes. You guys should totally go check that out.
I've heard of it. It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Animator can't animate worse shit, though.
He knows
Maybe
lots
he'll
of
get
things
better
about duck dicks, though.
Yes, he does. Yes, he did. That's going to follow me. That's going to be on my tombstone. It's like the only thing that people... Oh, yeah, there's a duck. He knows all about the corkscrews.
I think you've got Matt, Pat, Wooly, and Liam to blame for that one, though, let's be honest.
Probably. I really don't mind it. It builds the lore.
Well...
You need to build lore to be able to have yourself a nice build foundation.
Fair enough. Yeah, you've certainly... The next time we do this, it's going to be a collaboration on the lore about you.
Okay, here, I'm going to plug something for you.
Okay.
Go check out Franz's new full playthrough of Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, God.
Check that out.
Don't do that, Eli!
It's only on part 2, but I'm sure that he'll get to the rest eventually.
Yeah, I'm sure I will. I'm sure I'm totally going to finish that LP.
But you are doing Persona 3 specifically right now.
Yeah.
And what version of it? There's like 1 million apparently.
Quite a few.
There's the original. There's one that came out for PSP apparently. I don't know anything about the Persona series, but apparently I do a lot more now.
I started off alternating between the one for PSP and the remake of the one for PS2, P3P, the former, and P3 Fez, the latter. But I ended up just going with Fez. But I'm surprised that Pat hasn't forced you to play any of the Persona games yet.
I told him, he tried to encourage me to play P4, and I got to the first save point, I saved it, and then I never played it again. And that was it. That's my story about playing Persona. It's probably, there's a ROM of it somewhere on a hard drive somewhere that probably still has that save file, who knows. But anyways, Franz is doing that right now. It kind of resembles in some way the Dark Souls thing that I'm doing right now, and that it's almost sort of an in-depth playthrough in some ways. But you do skip quite a large portion of some little areas because you're focusing more on going through and exploring the world versus, actually showing you fighting every single fight or things like that.
Right. The dungeon exploration gets a little bit repetitive, and so I've sort of streamlined that aspect while focusing a lot more heavily on the comparisons between the in-game environment and actual Japan, where I've spent some time, and various other things of that nature, just focusing on the lore of the game. Because lore, right?
Lore! I love lore. I love data too, but lore is especially funny. Okay. That probably went over. You have no idea what I'm talking about. But, anyway.
Was it a Star Trek reference?
Yes, it was.
I'm not totally out of touch.
You're partially out of touch. Like I said, you're going hollow. You can't remember anything.
Going hollow.
Okay. Anyways. Check that out on Franz's channel if you feel free. If you want to learn more about Japan, you're certainly not going to learn it from me. I'll just go on about pig iron again. But... if you want to check out Franz's channel, feel free. If you want to check out my channel, feel free to sit here and continue listening to me.
Well, now everyone's going to come back to my channel and ask me about pig iron, and then I'll have to explain to them what tamahagane is. Thanks!
Well, you can explain that as well as duck penises and skeleton adventures.
I'm going to leave the duck penises to you because I think you're a bit more of an authority on that matter than I am. Granted...
well, I certainly am. Did you know they fall off?
They do?
Yeah. At the end, well, it kind of varies with species, obviously, but after each mating season, it will actually wither and fall off. And if they actually have more competition with other male ducks, it'll actually get even bigger.
Wow. Man.
Learn something every day. Hey, if you bring it up, I'm going to teach you.
No, this is why I come to this channel, Eli, for these little gems of knowledge that I couldn't learn anywhere else.
For these 30 additional minutes of discussion on duck penises. They're also somewhat barbed, by the way, in addition to being corkscrew-shaped.
So I've heard. They sound like rather unpleasant implements. Probably going to be a weapon in Bloodborne.
Yep. And also, it shows up in Skeleton Adventures and whatnot. Actually, oh, no, I'm going to talk about Bloodborne. We'll be here all day. Okay. I might have you back on at some point. We'll maybe discuss something while I'm playing Dark Souls at the same time. This is something I've considered.
Anytime.
Leave your opinions in the comments. Maybe we can get Marcus in here as well sometime. Although I very sincerely doubt that.
I'd be glad to ask, but he's pretty busy these days being a family man.
He would say, that's a good idea. We should do that. And then it'll never happen.
I'm sure if I pitch it to him, hey man, you want to learn about duck penises? There's this great, you want to come do a podcast? I'm sure he'll be down.
Of course. Who wouldn't be? Okay, but that's it for today. Again, visit Franz's channel and visit mine. You're already here, so what the hell am I talking about? I will see you guys next time. So long.
Bye!
Quiet, Franz.